Foster's home for imaginary friends was one of the main reasons I woke up early on Saturday. It was one of the greatest Cartoon Network series that was set in a world where imaginary friends and human beings coexisted together. It revolved around two guys called Mac and Blue, who interacted with other imaginary friends and the house staff while doing their day-to-day adventures. And as usual, we are going to look at the most recurring characters in the show, some humans and some imaginary friends, then look at every member behind the scenes who took part in voicing the characters. And as an honorable mention, we shall start with Billy the Squid. He was a squid-like imaginary friend who appeared in multiple episodes as a background character. He mostly did what others were doing and just went with the flow of the show. He was voiced by Keith Ferguson. Now to one of the main characters called Frankie Foster, who was the granddaughter of a woman known as Martha Foster and the one who helped in keeping her grandma's foster home running throughout. She was both kind and friendly to humans and imaginary people, and also a very hardworking lady who always tried her best to keep everyone and everything on track in the foster home. And in the middle of any chaos, she was the most level-headed character who acted as the voice of reason and as the peacekeeper in the series. She was voiced by the Cartoon Network icon known as Grey Delisle. Mac was the brother of a bully called Terrence, who we shall look at later. He was an 8-year-old boy who was one of the brightest and selfless character in the show. He was also very imaginative and was someone who never hid his emotions and how he felt. He was very clever and always had a solution to every problem that came his way. In the foster home, he acted as the sense of reason and the one who settled arguments and mishaps amongst the imaginary friends. He was a boy with a strong moral personality and always avoided doing wrong deeds, and mostly focused on having fun with his best friend called Blue. This amazing boy was voiced by Sean Marquette. One of the imaginary friends was Eduardo, who was a muscular 7-foot-tall monster-like creature that resembled a bull and a minotaur. Even with his dangerous looks, Eduardo was known to be one of the gentlest friends in the entire house. He had a Spanish accent and would sometimes mix Spanish words and phrases in his English sentences. He was mostly known as the protector due to his size, but the only problem with him was that he was low-key a coward and was not even able to hurt a fly because he didn't believe in violence. The only time he used his immense strength was when it came to protecting all of his friends. The comedian called Tom Kenny was responsible for Eduardo's voice. Wilt was another imaginary friend that was kind-hearted and friendly. He was always optimistic in life and an honest creature known to be very nice. He always apologized every time he did or said something offensive, and I don't recall him having enemies in the entire show. He loved basketball and helping everyone, but the only thing he never appreciated was mean people like Terrence and also people who had the habit of lying to others. This red-skinned creature was voiced by Phil Lamar. Mr. Haramman was the president of the Fosters and the boss of Francis. He behaved like a well-distinguished gentleman with his proper and uptight behavior. He was also very strict and mostly wanted the staff members and the imaginary friends to be very well-mannered and organized. He always rocked a hat and a tuxedo coat, and also spoke in an English accent of the Victorian era. His perfect lifestyle made it hard for him to make friends, as the others did not like being near him and his unbearable rules. He was so proud and passionate of being the Fosters' president, and this role always made him feel wanted and appreciated by the others. He was voiced by Tom Kane. Coco was a bird-like foster friend that was known to be very kind and helpful in the house. She was also very funny and surprisingly sarcastic despite the fact that she only said one word. Her head was like a palm tree and her beak was red and long. Her name was Coco because that was the only word she used. And even though she always said Coco, other characters in the show understood exactly what she was saying. When she got excited or scared, she had the ability of laying plastic eggs to express her emotions. She also had great abilities like super strength, She could alter the color and appearance of her skin at will, and could also swallow things whole and lay them inside plastic eggs. This bird was voiced by the beautiful Candy Milo. Terrence was the main villain in the show. He was 13 years old and the older brother of Mac. He was a bully who disliked every imaginary friend and also bullied his younger brother and tried to make his life miserable. And even with his tough personality, he was known to enjoy a soap opera known as The Loved and the Loveless, which was kind of like The Young and the Restless. Just like any other bullies in TV, he was dumb with common knowledge and was also not necessarily good in schoolwork. A boy voiced by a legendary woman called Tara Strong. Bloppy Pants was a nervous cat friend who was also the leader of a band called Pizza Party. He mostly resembled a gray cat and always wore a brownish-orange scarf and a gray shirt with long sleeves. He was not necessarily one of the main characters and was just someone who made cameos throughout the show. He was afraid of heights, and unlike normal cats, Bloppy had no tail. He was voiced by Jeff Bennett. And finally, an imaginary friend called Clock, who was just a minor character. He only appeared in the series finale and was seen going through the walls while announcing the current time and asking the other imaginary friends if everything was going smoothly. Voiced by the great Kevin Michael Richardson. I unfortunately forgot to add Blue, so apologies for that.